In the dense, sun-dappled jungles of South Asia, life moves to an ancient rhythm. Here, many creatures live and thrive, each playing a part in a delicate balance. Among them, one predator stands above all others, a symbol of power and grace. This is the tiger, an apex hunter whose presence commands respect. Its magnificent coat, a canvas of flame orange and deep black stripes, allows it to blend seamlessly into the tall grasses and shadowy undergrowth. The tiger moves with a silent confidence, its every step a testament to its role as the undisputed ruler of this domain. It is a creature born of both calm authority and razor-sharp instinct, a solitary monarch patrolling its kingdom with unmatched prowess. The tiger's life is one of patience and explosive action. It spends much of its day resting in the cool shade, conserving energy for the hunt that comes with the twilight hours. With powerful muscles and a long, heavy body, it is built for ambush. Its large paws are equipped with retractable claws, sharp as daggers, ready to seize its prey in a heartbeat. The tiger's vision is exceptionally keen, especially in low light, giving it a significant advantage over other animals. It is a master of stealth, stalking its quarry with a focus so intense that the jungle itself seems to hold its breath. This majestic cat represents the very peak of the food chain, a perfect predator in its prime. Its domain is vast, and within it, the tiger is the ultimate authority. The scent marks it leaves on trees and the deep rumbling roars that echo through the valleys are declarations of its ownership. Other animals listen and take heed, understanding the unspoken laws of the jungle. The tiger's very existence shapes the behavior of every other creature, from the largest herbivores to the smallest scavengers. It is a solitary sovereign, often living and hunting alone, its life a quiet testament to the raw power of nature. The jungle is its throne, and all who live within its borders are its subjects, whether they know it or not. This solitary existence, however, does not mean the tiger is without challenges. Life in the wild is a constant struggle for resources, territory, and dominance. While it may be king, its crown is not always secure. Other powerful animals share its habitat, and sometimes their paths cross in dramatic and unexpected ways. The tiger's reign is maintained through strength, intimidation, and a willingness to confront any challenger that dares to question its authority. It is this constant test of power that defines its life, a life lived on the edge, where every encounter could be a fight for supremacy in this lush green world. Living within the same vibrant jungles is another remarkable creature, the sloth bear. It is an animal that looks quite different from the sleek and powerful tiger. The sloth bear is covered in a thick, shaggy coat of black fur, often with a distinctive U-shaped or V-shaped white marking on its chest. This long, unkempt fur gives it a somewhat clumsy appearance, but this look is deceiving. The sloth bear is a formidable animal, perfectly adapted to its unique way of life. It possesses long, curved claws, not for attacking large prey, but for digging into termite mounds and ripping apart rotting logs to find insects, its primary source of food. These bears are primarily nocturnal, spending their days resting in cool caves or dense thickets. As night falls, they emerge to forage for food. Their sense of smell is incredibly sharp, guiding them to termite nests and beehives rich with honey. A sloth bear has a specially adapted snout. It can close its nostrils and use its long lower lip to form a tube, sucking up insects like a vacuum cleaner. This specialized diet means it doesn't typically compete with the tiger for large prey. Despite their diet of insects and fruit, sloth bears are surprisingly strong, with males weighing up to 140 kilograms or more. The sloth bear has a reputation for being one of the most unpredictable and aggressive animals in the jungle. This is not due to malice, but rather to its poor eyesight and hearing. Often it is startled by sudden encounters, and its immediate reaction is to defend itself with explosive force. When threatened, a sloth bear will stand on its hind legs, roar loudly, and slash out with its formidable claws. This defensive aggression has earned it a fearsome reputation among both humans and other animals. It is a creature that prefers to be left alone, but will not hesitate to fight back fiercely if it feels cornered. This combination of poor senses and a powerful defensive instinct makes the sloth bear a wild card in the jungle's intricate social structure. Unlike the tiger, which relies on stealth and planning, the sloth bear's behavior is driven by immediate, impulsive reactions. It ambles through the undergrowth, seemingly lost in its own world of scents and sounds, but it is always ready for a confrontation. This shaggy, unassuming forager is a testament to the fact that in the wild, appearances can be deeply misleading. Its quiet life of digging for insects belies a spirit of untamed and ferocious courage when provoked. The South Asian jungle is a bustling metropolis of animal life, a place where countless stories unfold every single day. The air is filled with a symphony of sounds, from the chirping of unseen birds to the rustle of leaves that signals movement in the undergrowth. This is a world where every creature is connected, part of a complex web of predator and prey. Among the most common sights are herds of cheetah or spotted deer. These graceful animals, with their coats of reddish-brown dotted with white, move cautiously through the clearings. Their large, sensitive ears are always twitching, listening for the slightest hint of danger, for they are a primary food source for the jungle's predators. Another key player in this ecosystem is the dhole, also known as the Asiatic wild dog. They are social hunters, living and moving in packs. With their russet and copper-coloured coats, they look like a cross between a wolf and a fox. Dholes are incredibly efficient predators, communicating with a series of soft whistles and sharp chirps as they coordinate their hunts. They are bold enough to take on prey much larger than themselves, their strength lying in their numbers and their relentless teamwork. The presence of a dhole pack changes the dynamics of the forest, as even a lone tiger might think twice before confronting a unified group. The rhythm of the jungle is dictated by the constant search for food and the ever-present need to avoid becoming food. For the cheetah, safety is found in numbers and constant vigilance. Their days are spent grazing in open areas where they can see danger approaching, their heads lifting at every unfamiliar sound. When a predator is spotted, a sharp, barking alarm call rings out, sending the entire herd fleeing into the dense cover of the trees. Their survival depends on their speed and their ability to react in an instant, a life lived in a state of perpetual alertness, a dance between sustenance and survival. This intricate tapestry of life is what makes the jungle so vibrant and so unforgiving. The tiger, sloth bear, dhole, and cheetah all share this space, their lives interwoven in a continuous drama. The tiger hunts the cheetah, the dholes compete with the tiger for the same prey, and the sloth bear mostly keeps to itself, yet its path can cross with any of them. Each animal has its own strategy for survival, its own role to play. It is in this shared world that conflicts are inevitable, not just between predator and prey, but between powerful equals vying for dominance and the right to live another day. The day was warm and still, a typical afternoon in the dry season. The sun filtered through the canopy, casting long shadows across the forest floor. A large male tiger, confident in his power, was on the move. He was not hunting for food. His belly was full from a recent kill. Instead, this was a patrol, a routine tour of his territory to reinforce his dominance. He moved with the silent, deliberate grace that only an apex predator possesses, his paws making barely a sound on the dry leaves. His powerful presence was a silent warning to any who might challenge his rule. The jungle seemed quiet, lulled into a state of peace by the afternoon heat. In a small clearing not far away, a lone sloth bear was busy with its own affairs. It was digging vigorously at the base of an old, rotting log, its long claws tearing away chunks of wood. The bear was completely absorbed in its task, focused on the promise of a meal of juicy grubs and termites hidden within. Its poor hearing and vision meant it was oblivious to the world around it, lost in the scent of damp earth and decaying wood. The sounds of its digging, the scraping of claws and the snapping of twigs, were the only noises in the immediate vicinity. It was a picture of solitary contentment, an animal at peace with its world. The tiger, drawn by the sounds, paused at the edge of the clearing. He watched the bear for a moment, his tail twitching almost imperceptibly. This was not about hunger, it was about territory and power. The bear was an intruder in his path, a disruption to the silent order of his kingdom. In the tiger's mind, any creature that did not show immediate deference was a potential challenger. A slow, low growl rumbled in his chest. He lowered his body, hugging the ground as his muscles tensed, preparing for an assertion of his authority. The peaceful afternoon was about to be violently shattered. With a sudden, explosive burst of speed, the tiger launched his attack. He crossed the clearing in a few powerful bounds, a blur of orange and black fury. The sloth bear had no time to react. One moment it was digging for insects, and the next a colossal weight slammed into its back, driving it to the ground. The air was split by a cacophony of snarls and roars as the two powerful animals collided. The tiger's jaws aimed for the bear's neck, the killing bite he had perfected over countless hunts. The quiet jungle afternoon had erupted into a brutal and chaotic struggle for dominance. The initial assault was overwhelming. The tiger, larger and heavier, used his sheer force to pin the sloth bear to the dusty ground. His powerful jaws snapped, searching for a decisive hold on the bear's neck or spine. But the sloth bear was not an easy target. Its thick, shaggy fur and the loose skin around its neck provided a surprisingly effective defense, making it difficult for the tiger's teeth to find a firm grip. The bear, though taken by surprise, began to fight back with desperate ferocity. It twisted and writhed under the tiger's weight, its own roars of pain and rage mixing with the tiger's aggressive snarls. Though pinned, the sloth bear was far from helpless. Its most formidable weapons were its long, formidable claws, and it brought them into play immediately. It raked at the tiger's face and underbelly, inflicting deep, painful gashes. The tiger recoiled slightly from the sharp pain, his grip momentarily loosening. This was not the quick, clean assertion of dominance he had expected. The bear was fighting with the wild abandon of a cornered animal, its every move fueled by pure survival instinct. The struggle became a tangled mess of fur, claws, and teeth, a chaotic dance of violence where each animal was both inflicting and receiving pain. The tiger, frustrated by the bear's unexpectedly strong resistance, redoubled his efforts. He used his immense strength to press the bear down, attempting to crush the fight out of it. He bit and clawed, trying to find a weak spot, a way to end the conflict quickly. The dust rose around them, cloaking the brutal scene in a hazy cloud. The sounds of the struggle echoed through the now silent forest, a raw and visceral broadcast of a life-or-death battle. The sloth bear, however, refused to submit. It continued to slash and struggle, its endurance fueled by adrenaline and a primal will to live. This was no longer a simple display of power. It had become a genuine fight. The tiger was accustomed to his prey succumbing quickly, but the sloth bear was a different kind of opponent. It was a fighter, not a runner. The initial moments of the clash set the stage for a prolonged and grueling battle. The tiger's confidence was met with the bear's sheer tenacity. In those first few violent minutes, the tiger learned a harsh lesson. This shaggy, unassuming creature was a warrior, and it would not be easily conquered. The fight for dominance had become a brutal war of attrition. As the desperate struggle continued in the dusty clearing, the forest was not entirely empty. Hidden from view by a thicket of bamboo, another sloth bear had been foraging nearby. This second bear, possibly a sibling or a mate of the first, heard the terrifying sounds of the fight. The roars of pain and rage were an unmistakable distress call, a summons that could not be ignored. Peeking through the leaves, the second bear saw the dire situation. Its companion was pinned beneath the powerful tiger, fighting for its life. Without a moment's hesitation, instinct took over, and a powerful protective urge surged through it. With a deafening roar of its own, The second bear charged out of the bamboo. It moved with surprising speed, a black, shaggy missile aimed directly at the tiger's flank. The tiger was completely focused on the bear beneath him and was caught completely off guard by this new threat. The second bear crashed into the tiger with immense force, its claws digging deep into the predator's side. The impact was enough to break the tiger's hold, sending him stumbling sideways. Suddenly, the dynamics of the fight had changed dramatically. The lone emperor was no longer facing a single subject, he was facing a unified rebellion. The first bear, now free from the tiger's crushing weight, scrambled to its feet. Though injured and exhausted, it was filled with renewed vigor at the sight of its ally. The two bears now stood side by side, a formidable pair united against a common enemy. They presented a wall of black fur, sharp claws, and furious roars. The tiger, now facing two angry and aggressive opponents, found himself in a position he had likely never experienced before. The element of surprise was gone, and the advantage of size and strength was suddenly neutralized by the power of two. The odds had shifted in a stunning and unexpected way. The tiger hesitated for a brief moment, assessing the new situation. His sharp mind, accustomed to being the hunter, now had to process the reality of being outnumbered. The bears did not give him time to think. They pressed their advantage immediately, moving forward together. Their coordinated roars were intimidating, and their aggressive postures signaled their intent. The fight was no longer a one-on-one duel for dominance. It had transformed into a desperate battle for survival, and the tiger, for the first time, was on the defensive. The arrival of the second bear had completely turned the tables. The tiger, now facing a united front, found his predatory instincts replaced by a desperate need to defend himself. The two bears launched a relentless and coordinated assault. They did not give the tiger a moment to recover or plan his next move. One bear would lunge forward, slashing with its claws, while the other moved to attack from the side. This strategy kept the tiger constantly turning, unable to focus his attack on a single target. The king of the jungle was being outmaneuvered. His usual tactics rendered useless against the sheer ferocity and teamwork of the two bears. The tiger fought back bravely, lashing out with his own powerful paws and snapping with his deadly jaws. He was still a formidable opponent, and each of his blows was powerful enough to cause serious injury. But for every strike he landed, he received two in return. The bear's thick fur and loose skin continued to offer them some protection, while the tiger's own body was now exposed to their sharp claws. The relentless attack began to take its toll. Deep gashes appeared on his flanks and shoulders, and the pain and exhaustion started to slow his movements. The hunter was rapidly becoming the hunted. Realizing that the fight was lost, the tiger's instinct for self-preservation took over. He decided to retreat, to escape the unwinnable battle, and live to fight another day. He turned to flee, but the bears were not finished. They were driven by a primal rage, and they pursued him relentlessly. As the tiger tried to run, the bears chased him down, continuing their assault. They swiped at his legs, trying to trip him, to bring the great cat down. The chase was a chaotic scene of desperation, a complete reversal of the natural order. The mighty tiger was now fleeing for his life from a pair of determined bears. The pursuit was short but brutal. The bears were faster than the injured and tiring tiger expected. They caught up to him, and their continued attacks caused him to stumble and fall. He crashed to the ground, his powerful body now a target for their fury. He tried to get up, to continue his escape, but the bears were on him, clawing and biting, preventing him from rising. The chase had ended, but the assault had not. The tiger, once the master of his domain, was now trapped, his attempt at a strategic retreat thwarted by the bear's unyielding and vengeful pursuit. Now on the ground, the tiger was in a truly desperate situation. His strength was fading fast, and the pain from his many wounds was immense. Yet, even in defeat, the spirit of a king does not die easily. He continued to fight from his position on the ground, twisting his body and lashing out with his claws. His snarls were weaker now, mixed with sounds of pain, but they still carried a note of defiance. He was a cornered monarch making his final stand, refusing to surrender even when all hope was lost. The bears, however, showed no mercy. They continued their relentless attack, their fury unabated. The two sloth bears seemed to work with a brutal, unspoken understanding. They swarmed the fallen tiger, their claws tearing at his vulnerable body. The battle had lost all sense of strategy and had descended into pure, raw violence. The tiger's attempts to defend himself grew feebler with each passing moment. He was overwhelmed, his powerful muscles unable to push back against the combined weight and fury of his two assailants. The dust of the clearing, which had been kicked up in the initial struggle, now began to settle, revealing the tragic scene of a fallen ruler. Eventually, the tiger's movements began to slow. A deep, paralyzing injury, perhaps to his spine or a major limb, had taken its toll. His struggles became mere twitches, his roars fading into pained groans. He could no longer lift his head or swipe with his paws. He lay on the ground, breathing heavily, his magnificent body trembling. The bears, sensing that the threat was finally over, began to ease their attack. They stood over him for a moment, their chests heaving, their own bodies bearing the marks of the fierce battle. They had won. The dominance of the tiger had been broken. Satisfied that their enemy was neutralized, the two sloth bears turned and walked away. They did not stay to gloat or to feed. This was never about hunger. It was about survival and dominance. They simply melted back into the jungle, leaving the defeated tiger alone in the clearing. The great cat lay paralyzed, his reign over this part of the jungle brought to a sudden and violent end. As the sun began to set, casting a golden light over the scene, the tiger's body trembled one last time, and then was still. A king had fallen, and the jungle's brutal law had been upheld. This extraordinary encounter serves as a powerful reminder of the raw and unpredictable nature of the wild. It is a world where titles like king and apex predator are not guaranteed for life. They are earned and defended daily. The tiger, a symbol of ultimate power, met its end not because of hunger or old age, but because of a contest for dominance that went unexpectedly wrong. This conflict was not about a predator hunting its prey. It was a clash of two powerful forces, a brutal negotiation of territory and authority. In the jungle, respect is not given freely, it is commanded, and sometimes it is taken by force. The sloth bear's victory was a testament to the power of unity and the ferocity of a creature defending its own. A single bear was no match for the tiger, but two together proved to be an unstoppable force. This highlights a fundamental rule of survival. There is strength in numbers. The second bear's instinctive decision to charge in and help its companion changed the outcome completely. It was a display of social bonds and protective instincts that proved to be more powerful than the solitary strength of the tiger. It shows that even the most formidable individuals can be vulnerable when faced with a coordinated and determined group. Such conflicts, while shocking to us, are an integral part of the natural world. They are the mechanism through which the balance of power is maintained and territories are defined. Every animal is engaged in a constant struggle to survive, to find food, to protect its young, and to secure its place in the ecosystem. This can lead to violent confrontations, even between species that do not typically prey on one another. The fight between the tiger and the sloth bears was a raw expression of this struggle, a moment where the unspoken rules of the jungle were written in blood and dust. Ultimately, the story of this showdown is a lesson in humility. It reminds us that nature is not a simple hierarchy with a single ruler at the top. It is a complex and dynamic system where fortunes can change in an instant. The most powerful predator can be defeated, and the most unassuming creature can rise to become a victor. The wild is a place of constant challenge and adaptation, where survival depends on strength, strategy, and sometimes the sheer luck of having an ally appear at the right moment. It is a world that is both beautiful and brutal, and it will always remain wonderfully and sometimes terrifyingly unpredictable.